Hi and welcome to Big Picture Walks. Today I'm going to talk about the scenarios for the future. I am particularly interested in the possibility and technological feasibility of creating so-called strong AGI or strong AI, which is artificial intelligence, which would have superhuman performance at a broad array of tasks. In particular, we're interested if there is a possibility of an uncontrolled intelligence explosion, if there is a possibility of an artificial intelligence algorithm that improves its performance very fast and in directions, in ways that we could not predict before and we would not control during the process. And for this to happen, there are at least three criteria that need to be met. First, there must exist a technological possibility that there would be a machine, an algorithm, that would outperform humans at a broad array of tasks. Secondly, humans should have the will and ability to create it. And third, we would fail to make it friendly. All three criteria would have to be verified in conjunction at the same time. Each of them in isolation seems likely. Let me now handle them one by one. First, is human brain the limit? Can we say that no? Can we say with confidence that no, it's not possible for us to have artificial intelligence that would be smarter than us, not just in a narrow application, but in a broad array of virtually all possible and meaningful applications. In this regard, I would say a modest proposition is that no, we should not expect that. For example, Stephen Hawking famously said that no physical law precludes more effective information processing than in the human brain. Also, looking from a different perspective, I mean, the human brain is certainly the first one in the history of species evolution that has crossed the threshold of cumulative knowledge accumulation, but it doesn't mean it's the ultimate and first best design that could not be improved upon. We know, for example, that our brains could have been larger if not for the anatomic specificities of the human body, in particular the size of the skull, the size of the mother's pelvis, and also another important constraint under which human brains have evolved is energy efficiency. So our brains only need 20 watts of energy, which is a tremendously low number given the skills that we have, given the complexity of computations we are able to perform. On the other hand, it's just 20 watts, but it's already 20% of our all energy budget, even though the brain is only 2% of a human mass. So it is costly, but it brings benefits. Intelligence helps, and in the human case helped really escape the grip of evolution and get into control of the entire Earth. Nevertheless, we cannot say with confidence it's the ultimately best design. Probably there exist improvements. Sir Roger Penrose has famously argued that it may be the case that it's not possible to emulate the human brain on a computer, on a digital computer of the form that we know because of quantum effects. And to this I can say, I don't know, of course. Doesn't seem likely to me. And moreover, we're already developing quantum computers. So this criticism, if valid, I'm not sure if valid, but if valid, doesn't need to be ultimately a problem. Another thing that must be said is that many people tend to romanticize that there is this human touch, human element, which is unique and cannot be simulated anyway, cannot be improved upon. it is a romantic vision, but I'm not sure if it has anything to do with reality. So all in all, it seems like it's a modest and realistic assumption to say that technically there may be a possibility to have a data processing unit and a data processing algorithm that would beat the human brain in a broad range of applications. Can we build artificial general intelligence? Can we design and create such an algorithm given the limitations of our brains? It must be said that, because we are not as smart doesn't mean that we cannot create something which is ultimately smarter. Even in our case, if you look at the history of the evolution of species again, you would see that the process of species evolution is not as smart as the products it creates. So if you apply the same logic here, AI will be not created by evolution, it will be created by intelligent design. We're going to be the designers, but our limitations don't need to be a constraint on the skill and ability of the prospective AI algorithm. Okay, so setting this aside, now, will we have the ability to build superhuman AGI given the state of technology in which we are now? Of course, we are far from superhuman AGI, but at the same time, we observe that technological progress is growing at least exponentially. And moreover, if you take the longer time span, it's actually faster than exponential. So we have seen a sequence of accelerations in the growth rate of technological progress. So making a quite reasonable assumption in this context that technological progress will not slow down, but at least keep pace, we can extrapolate in the future and say, in a perspective of 50, maybe 100 years, maybe even less. Many people actually say it's about 30 years. We could be able to create something, some algorithm running on some data processing unit that would be better than the human mind in terms of broad capacity of solving problems. Will humans have the will to create it? Here I'm completely certain that we would like to do that. I mean, we are aware of the risks, but the collective human brain is a risk lover, in fact. Why? I mean, even though each one of us is risk averse and would like to hedge against risks and so on, if you take the whole humankind as a whole, and then you see the actions that have been taken in our past, even if like 99% of people would say this is not safe, don't do it, still the remaining 1% would not have this sort of issue and would just do it. And so if we only care about the first one who did it, there will be such a person. So the risks involved would not preclude someone in the human population to produce superhuman artificial intelligence if having the capacity to do so. In the end, it's just one of the elements of our drive for local control. I mean, we have the drive for technological perfection, for technological advancement, for creativity. I see no reason why this would stop. Especially that short of the singularity, short of intelligence explosion, the benefits of artificial intelligence algorithms can be huge for humankind. And also, imagine you're the first one to create a superhuman artificial intelligence. I mean, your situation would be like one of a god. So if you are in this situation, you would probably be highly tempted to do it, despite the risks. And especially that, the benefits can accrue to you yourself, and then the risks are dispersed. We're finally to the third point. Will the artificial intelligence algorithm be friendly? What are the chances? In my perception, the chances are extremely low that the AI will be friendly. First of all, because of it being superhuman, it will be, by definition, impossible to predict what it would do. Impossible to predict by humans, I mean. It must be said that AI may create unanticipated dimensions of action, just do unimagined things, again, by definition of being superhuman. And we cannot build in an off switch. Again, by the virtue of being superhuman, it would anticipate that we want to switch it off, and it would be, if it would be against its goals, it would just avoid this risk. So we cannot really rule and govern it by any sort of constraints or off switches. The only thing we can do is to work on the goal function itself. The only way for the AI to be friendly is for it to want to be friendly. And again, this is much easier said than done. We don't know ourselves what our goals in life are, what the purpose of our life is, and so on. A well-known AI researcher and philosopher, Eliezer Yudkowsky, said that if anyone would try and give him a goal function for the AI that he or she would think would be good for it to be friendly, he would immediately show how this leads to chaos and apocalypse. So it's a sort of Anna Karenina principle. So it can be right in just a single way, and it can go wrong in millions of ways. And probably the goal structure, the goals would have to be learned by the AI itself, just like we collectively learn how to improve on our being human, on how to improve on our morality and so on. I mean, this has changed tremendously over the centuries. Imagine what would happen if we did not learn anything about moral issues since the Middle Ages, but we, for some reason, learned technical advancements, and we could create an artificial intelligence. We would like to endow it with the morals of the Middle Ages. I mean, this would be horrible, given our knowledge of moral issues that we have in the 21st century. And the worst issue of all is that we will just have one shot. We cannot go and proceed by trial and error. Like historically, with virtually all the technologies that we created, we always proceeded with trial and error. Now we just have one shot. Why? Because if we create a superhuman intelligence, then we could not switch it off and start over to improve its goals, for example. Once we set the goal, it will be more efficient in pursuing the goal than we would be in trying to switch it off or change its goal. Changing its goal is impossible because it goes against its goal, and it's much more intelligent than we are, so it's just impossible for us to have any influence on that. And I probably shouldn't add that the scenario of an arms race that we are seeing right now, like in artificial intelligence, you're seeing an arms race between the US and China, and this sort of arms race dynamic is terrible for the prospects of putting safety measures in place and avoiding worst outcomes. Okay, finally, I would like to say a few things about artificial intelligence explosion that some of you may have in your minds when thinking about this. And this intuition may come from science fiction movies or books. And I would like to say what not to expect when thinking about superhuman artificial intelligence. So first of all, you should not expect that before it exceeds humans in terms of intelligence, it would get some human-type traits. So please beware of the risk of anthropomorphization. The AI is just an alien kind. It's not going to be like a human in any form. Unless we specifically design it in this way. So it's not going to be a species. It's not going to be similar to humans. It will have probably a different scale of pooling resources because it probably would work on interconnected, like Internet of Things, and not just, or at least the Internet of computers in a network, okay? And not on a single brain that cannot quickly communicate with other brains. So it may have a different perceived rate of time. It may work orders of magnitude faster than our brains work, and may rapidly reproduce by just copying its code or creating sub-processes that would help it in its own goals. Another thing is, it would not have to gain consciousness. It would not have to gain the ability to reflect on its goals. It would not have to get rogue towards humankind, dislike us in any way. It may be perfectly neutral with regard to the human race and still decide that given its goal, it would be optimal if we somehow disappeared. So please keep this in mind. Please keep this in mind that you should not expect all these sorts of thrilling science fiction scenarios, and you should not expect like a fair battle between humans and AI, because once it crosses our level of intelligence, it may immediately be orders of magnitude above us. So it's not like just a tiny difference for a long time. It may be a very short time in which the difference jumps from being roughly our level to be 100 times above our level. And quantitative differences may bring about qualitative differences, so there may be actions that we would not understand or predict in any way. And just to remind you of the importance of the goal, it must be said that there is the orthogonality principle, which tells you that any level of intelligence can be applied to any goal. Goal is specified outside of the system, outside of the intelligence algorithm. So no matter how well designed the algorithm is, if it has a goal that is horrible from our perspective, it will be just ruthlessly effective in pursuing this awful goal. So it must be kept in mind. I mean, no algorithms should be expected to say, okay, this goal is awful, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to do something better. It's just not going to happen. Okay, so to sum up, should we expect a technological singularity? I don't know, we'll see. I think it is like physically, technologically possible for AI to outperform humans in a wide variety of tasks. I think it's not impossible that humans will have the ability to create it. And if so, it's, at least to me, almost certain that they will have the will to do it. Thirdly, the chance of the created superhuman AI to be friendly are slim to none. Thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please comment. Bye.